George Papandreou. He is the former Prime Minister of Greece. George, thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you, David.
To talk to us. I want to ask you, though, it was the vote, a very important vote. You voted against a small part of it. It was a vote against the rules on bank recapitalisation. What was your issue?
Well, you're very right. I did vote on the majority of the proposals. On that, there was a principled stance. I would vote again against this if a similar vote came to the Parliament. The basic reason is that I can understand that in very difficult circumstances we may need at some points to privatize at a loss where the Greek taxpayer takes a hit. But to put that into law so that this is sort of a policy ad infinitum, particularly when Greeks have sacrificed so much, to take the losses again and again and again for bailouts of banks, I think I'm against that in principle.
But what you did, though, from an outsider's point of view, is that you took a very big risk because that was a wafer-thin majority that the omnibus of measures went through on, and it seems to me that you were actually willing to risk the stability of the government, maybe even early elections, by taking that stance.
Well, I did not, and I would not jeopardize the majority in Parliament. This was a personal vote, a political vote. And it was, of course, a statement on some of the things which I think we need to see, not only in Greece but also in Europe, because we do have systemic problems around the banking crisis, which was a 2008 crisis. We still are dealing with the banking crisis, new stress tests. We haven't moved far on issues such as the banking union, such as the different interest rates that we have from the core and the periphery. The FTT and so on.
These are union, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
The idea is to try and fix that differential between the low interest rates and the core and the high interest rates in places like Greece.
Absolutely, and that's very important. And I think that we are doodling in Europe, rather than looking at the real architecture of the need to integrate the banking system. And we are still asking for our taxpayers, whether they're Greek or others, to pay for the banks. So I think this is a systemic contradiction, and certainly does not create a sense of social justice and burden sharing, if you like, for the crisis.
All right, well, the democratic process gets underway with the European elections coming up at the end of May. It looks as though PASOK and the government are going to actually have a very difficult time sustaining much support in those elections. All right, so what happens to the government with your wafer-thin majority if you get decimated in those elections?
Well, obviously we're not really sure what the exact. There are polls, and we're not sure what the outcome may be. I think the polls show that it's going to be a close race. It's not that clear who would be ahead. Again, one must realize that there will be a protest vote around Europe, an anti-systemic vote, I would say, towards the European Union for some of the policies we have followed. And that, therefore, should be seen as reflecting more on the wider European situation than on the particular situation in Greece.
Let's bring it back to Greece, because yes. I'm worried about the government and whether the government could actually withstand to see actually its support decimated in those European elections. What happens? Most governments would say, oh, that's all right, we've got a protest vote, but you've got such a wafer-thin majority here. Can we say that there could be real stability in the government if you do badly in those elections?
Well, I personally, all these years have been sustaining the support for the government. I even resigned as Prime Minister in order to create a coalition, which basically is the same coalition which I created is the one that's governing now. So I am in favor of the success of this adjustment program. We're at the tail end, and I believe that nobody would really want to jeopardize, the coming to a closure, a successful closure of this adjustment program.
Do you think that the current government can bring that successful closure to an end and stay in power until 2016?
I think it's possible. I would put more emphasis right now, and that's some of my criticism to the government policies, is that more emphasis on the reform. We have done what is necessary at the fiscal level. We have a record fiscal adjustment. OECD says it itself. No one else has ever done that in the OECD as much as we have done that. With great pain, huge sacrifices of the Greek people. We need to put more emphasis now on implementing reforms which we've already passed.
But you've just talked it's about executing.
It's about executing. It's about executing the reforms, such as opening up the professions. I would say even bigger reforms, such as the political system, fighting the sort of clientelistic capitalism, which I believe is endemic in some countries and maybe around the world. We're talking now about unluckily a crony capitalist type of system. So I think that we need to create much more vibrant, strong institutions which will allow for greater transparency and a sense of not only social justice but also development and growth.
Can we do that under the current coalition, and do you think the current coalition will last until 2016 when the next elections are?
I put it that if the current coalition does move forward on this, they will garner the support, a wider support of the Greek society. And I believe this coalition, yes, can last if it does move in that direction.
Are you talking about new reforms that weren't part of that omnibus of measures, or are you just talking about execution?
I would say more execution, but there are certain issues I personally believe are necessary. For example, revamping the political system, the electoral system, and so on, which had been one of the priorities I had put when I was Prime Minister. But other than that, I think that implementing reforms from justice to tax issues to opening up professions is now absolutely necessary.
So you're going to push for those further reforms, you're going to push for those political reforms. So are you telling me that you are going to continue to support the coalition, notwithstanding your vote on Sunday night?
Yes, I am. As I said, I have always done that. I feel that we need to have a success in this adjustment program. There may be many things we didn't like. We took measures which were dictated to us often.
Right.
Many of the other issues, though, were necessary, and I think the deeper reforms are what are going to make Greece sustainable.
I'm pushing you on this.
Yes, but there's one thing I do want to say is Greece does have great potential. It's a great investment opportunity. I believe that the fears of political instability are overblown.
Let me come back. We've got
Yes.
not very much left. I want to ask, there's little rumours around in the street that you're planning to step down and start your own political party. They say the joke in Athens is there's only one growth industry in Athens at the moment, and that's political parties, proliferation of them. Can you categorically say that you don't plan to step down from PASOK and start your own political party?
I think they are simply rumours, and talking about rumours on April Fool's Day, I think is very dangerous.
Oh, George, thank you very much.
Thank you very much
for coming to speak to us. Yeah.
Thank you.